All right, welcome everybody to Finance Essentials. I am your host, Danny Hudson. Welcome to episode 2 of Entrepreneur Month. And what we are actually going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about H&F Redefined. I've got the two co-founders with me today. That is Laura Hartman and Gladi, is it Cologne? Did I pronounce that correct? After knowing you for 20 years, you figured I probably should have known how to pronounce your last name correctly, but I didn't want to be rude. And so the H&F is actually for heart and faith, which I'm sure I'm probably not the only one to point this out. I'm sure when you guys have talked with other people is that considering the business that you guys are in, it's very fitting as far as a name goes with heart and faith redefined, and then kind of really marketing it towards people who have been laid off or furloughed or whatever their conditions might be, and really show that, hey, these are two pieces of you that are very important that you want to take care of with heart and faith, and it really fits with your guys' names. Was that initially part of the plan, or how did that come into play?
Well, I can kind of jump in on that if you don't mind, Gladys.
Sure.
Yeah, we, I think with anybody who is starting to develop a new brand or a new business, you go through okay, I have the idea, but what's it going to be called? And for us, it was really determining what that name is. What's that brand name? We kind of knew how we wanted it to look and feel, and we wanted it to be very representative about us as friends, as professionals, but also still very polished and professional. We kind of did the writing it out and sketching it out and texting back ideas, and all of a sudden it was kind of like that light bulb moment, which we love to say, and we love to feature within the brand. But we kind of had that light bulb moment of, okay, what about H&F, which is heart for Hartman, and faith is Gladi's middle name. But we like to play on words with the spelling of mine, because obviously heart comes from my last name, but when you really spell it out, heart faith, it has a connection. It gives you a little bit of emotion. And we didn't want to spell out heart and faith because we thought, okay, we still want it to be professional. We don't want the initial, you're Googling it, you're hearing the name. We don't want it to sound so soft. So that's why we shortened it to H&F Redefined, yet you'll notice we always refer to ourselves as, signing off heart and faith.
Yep.
And any of the lifestyle blogs, and any kind of fresh heart faith, that's us. So we kind of like the play, the ability to use it in two different ways. And then we have ideas for it later on when we spin off and, continue to grow, how heart and faith can become kind of a secondary brand. So it gives us some options.
Sure. And I think too, as far as the interviews go this month, you guys are probably the most recently established business that I'll end up talking to. Are you guys able to give me and provide a little bit of context as far as how the business got started and timing and what your initial objectives were as far as starting it?
Sure. I'll go ahead and take that one, Danny. So, like a lot of our furloughed colleagues, Laura and I were kind of sitting at home early last summer and trying to bounce off a lot of ideas off of each other. And we thought it would be kind of a fun thing for us to do to start a quirky little industry style or lifestyle blog to write about our furlough and the ironies that come with it, and just kind of make light of it. We know that it was very serious. We know, people are losing their jobs left and right. We lost ours, but there's irony behind it, and we can find the upside to it.
Sure.
And that idea, we started talking about, hey, did you see so-and-so who started his own business, or did you see so-and-so started his own brand?
Mm-hmm.
And then it just spiraled into a conversation about, wouldn't it be better if we talked about other people and their triumphs and their stories of success during this difficult time, and focus on that and make that our passion project.
Absolutely.
Instead of much to focus on a blog about ourselves. And we still want to write those fun lifestyle blogs, but the focus, and you'll hear us say this word a lot, Danny, passion project, because this is how it started. It didn't start as a business for us where it was about making money.
Right.
It was about the passion behind what we were doing, because at the time, and quite frankly, right now, no one's really talking about what those furloughed people are doing.
Sure.
And so that mission, H&F Redefined, on a mission to talk about those people. So, it started over the summer, and then we started to just kind of teach ourselves how to build a website and start social media pages, and start to kind of slowly talk to our colleagues, industry friends, to start finding people to write stories about. And we launched our website on September 26th.
Yeah, so barely even a quarter in, you guys are still new, and anybody who's watching or listening, I'll link the website in the show notes, but it's definitely worth checking out. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting when I was looking at your website is that you guys really highlighted kind of and it's on there, I probably part of your mission statement, but it's a collaborative network of redefined professionals with our unique, and the part that I thought was very interesting when you guys defined it as brand supporting brand approach. And one of the things that I try to talk a lot about is how important it is for us to support and kind of enable other people, our peers, our communities. When you talk about brand supporting brand, is that kind of what your logic behind that was? Is using your brand to kind of help build and establish those other brands as well?
Absolutely. It's all about collaboration. It's all about community. And I think one thing that I kind of pride ourselves on is that I feel like we were really anticipating, kind of knowing that 2021 is going to be about community, about humanitarianism, about philanthropy. And that is really what everything, kind of the foundation of what we do is. We tell all of our innovators that, we all flourish together when we're supporting one another. So just because we featured their story, we have them in what we call a community. We have a private Facebook group that once we feature you, or we're about to feature you, we include them into our private Facebook group. So we can kind of say, hey, FYI, who's got a promotion coming up, or who has something exciting? Tell us in this group so we can help support it on social media. Let us know your victories. Let us know what you all need help promoting, so the people within this kind of club, this community, can help do that for you, because nobody else knows as much as the people in that group how important it is. So that's where that brand supporting brand approach comes from.
And how do you guys tend to find? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so what's been really exciting and rewarding for Gladi and myself is that, especially on Instagram, you can see a lot of that cross promotion. That they all are liking and commenting on one another. They're featuring other people's promotions in their stories and mentioning one another. A couple of them have started to work on some future collaborations with one another if they have complementary brands. So it's, we're all in this together, and we all get it. We all get that we're learning every single day on how to do this, and we all know the importance of it.
Now that's great, and that actually answers a couple of my questions. I'm involved in several somewhat similar groups, but I find that sometimes the support, it's not always necessarily there. You find that some people are more supportive than others, and other people are kind of there a little bit more self-serving. It sounds like you guys have managed to do a good job avoiding that and really building a collaborative community. Do you guys believe that there's anything different that you have done that really kind of helps to stimulate that type of collaboration than maybe other communities, and maybe people out there that are listening that are considering something similar? Maybe some suggestions or an advice for them? Because the collaboration that you guys have amongst, the people who are a part of your community, it seems to be a little bit different than a lot of other, that a lot of other communities out there where people don't necessarily tend to be, supporting each other on social media, and that kind of thing. So that to me is very different than what you typically will tend to see elsewhere.
Well, you know what, I think the underlying aspect is what Gladi mentioned before. We dove into this as a passion project, and it wasn't about the money. And it still isn't about the money. At a certain point, we do need to, we're slowly working on that, but we do want to continue to build this brand into a real business and be able to monetize.
Sure.
But we want it to be in a way that is very ethical and always maintains integrity to our innovators, because at the end of the day, the foundation of H&F Redefined is supporting furloughed and laid off workers that don't necessarily have the money they need to put any funds or money that they have into their own business.
Sure.
Not into paying a expensive marketing company
Absolutely.
or social media company.
Absolutely.
So to us, it's about doing the good work and being their cheerleader, because we're in their same shoes. We totally understand. And, we're going to have options we're going to be rolling out soon a brand ambassador program where if they would like us to continue to kick up the momentum further for them, we'll have a couple different, very cost-effective options for
Sure.
our innovators or future innovators where we can be their brand ambassadors. But they also know that whatever they decide, to negotiate with us is going to be two people that are the most passionate people out there to be their hype duo, to be their hype team, to, promote them.
Sure.
And going back to your initial question, what have we done that's different? So many people are so focused on the monetization aspect right away.
Right.
And we've just never been about that. It takes a lot of time to keep this running, and we get that, but it's worth it. And we're not asking for anything in return as of now from our innovators other than please encourage your audience to follow us. Please help gain the momentum.
Sure.
Just pay it back, pay it forward. We're featuring you if you can kind of let others know what we're doing so we can grow that forward. So later, the monetization can come from advertisers or sponsors or other industry partners that want to get on board and support the project.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And that's probably a big key point of it too, as far as really kind of focusing on building those types of relationships rather than focusing on monetization. That way people kind of also know, what your goals are and what you're in it for. You're not necessarily there to just take money from them. You're kind of there to help build them up. So that's probably a good point. Right. I know, again, several of the groups that I'm in, some are a little bit better than others, but most of them also require an entry fee, right? It's not usually a lot of money, but it does require an entry fee to get in, and you guys have done a great job so far answering some of my questions even before I get to it. So it sounds like you guys already kind of have an idea of where I tend to go. But one of the things too that I also notice is that there's several key features on your website, which is the showcase and then the seasonal solutions and then the blog. I think the seasonal solutions tends to be a little bit more of kind of what you were talking about, Laura, as far as some of those marketing and the advertising. Can you guys explain a little bit more as far as the showcase and then the pieces that go into the blog, like the light bulb moments, which it sounds like you guys had one originally, but just kind of give us a little bit more details as far as what really drives the content that you guys have.
Sure. So our number one goal to get people to the site is to learn about new entrepreneurs or new business owners that they become our feature. When you go onto our website, you're going to meet 3 or 4 different people that have faced professional hardship this year and tell their story. So the showcase are the top 3 people that we have showcased or featured in the past few weeks. So basically, on every week rotation, we're going to post a new feature, and that person's going to be on our homepage for 2 weeks, and then once that 2 weeks expires, they move into our showcase page. So their story kind of goes on a journey on our website. It always lives on our website. It's just a matter of time, depends on where it lives. So after the cycle runs and they've been on the showcase page now for a few weeks, now they're going to live on the blog page. So their site and their story is always there.
Right.
But we're getting a lot of submissions through our website. And we are meeting people from all over the nation, Danny, and then we've also started to hear from people from overseas, which is really cool.
That's very interesting.
It is. We're like, wow, we don't even know how our story reads.
Right.
It's pretty cool, but so we're getting a lot of awesome submissions. And so what Laura and I do, we send everybody a questionnaire, and to get that questionnaire back, we can read it and we can determine, okay, is this person a feature story, or is there something else that we can do? And that's kind of how we came up with our light bulb moment category, because we were getting so many submissions, but we couldn't keep up with featuring everybody, right?
Sure.
But a quick way to tell their story. So we sent them a different Q&A, and that's how we came up with the light bulb moment category, because we still want to do a quick story on them with a few pictures. It's basically interview style.
Right.
We put out those stories weekly, usually like on Mondays, but the feature story, the one that's like a full-on story, those are the ones that are bi-weekly.
Right. And one of the things that I think that is awesome about it is that you guys really show and you highlight the people that are behind these businesses, right? And you showcase their stories, you showcase their histories, what their experience was going into being furloughed, and how they had that light bulb moment and they managed to turn their passion project into their business. And I think one of the great things about that, and maybe you guys have gotten this feedback as well, is the motivator behind that. As people are reading these and they're seeing, hey, you know what, this person has a similar background as me, and this is what they were passionate about, and they were able to turn into a business. Maybe I can do something similar.
Oh, well, you hit the nail on the head, Danny, and I'm so thrilled to hear that you articulate it that way, because that's exactly our intention and our hope, is that if you are on the fence of, okay, I really want to do this, but can I? Do I have the courage? What if I fail? Go to our website and read all of the stories.
Sure.
Because guess what? We don't have one overlapping brand. Every single brand or business that we've featured so far is a completely different type of business, which we are shocked about. We thought for sure there would be a lot more overlap.
Right. You get 37 photographers, or something like that.
Right. And I mean, yeah, the realtors, the photographers, that we've had a couple realtors submit, but only one officially sent back the interview and really move forward with the process.
Sure.
But that's the only overlap that we have found so far. Every single company that we have featured is completely different. And the range of diversity that's what I think is the inspiring part, is the feature that we have coming out this next week, we're so excited about. That is a ukulele stand, and they have a patent on their product. And
that is awesome.
It's just so cool, these things that people are doing.
Sure.
This week's light bulb moment that we just released yesterday is a home organizing company.
Right.
It just, that I think is just really, really cool. You never know what kind of hidden talents you might have or
absolutely
have. And with people having so much time off, they've rediscovered what else they can do. When you're kind of in that sort of rival mode, all of a sudden you realize, I actually do have other talents than,
Yeah, one of the other shows that I listen to, he talks a lot about everybody has some kind of a talent. You know something better than someone else. You can do something better than somebody else. And what you really need is the confidence to be able to push it one step beyond just knowing or being able to do it. and making that into a business. Now, so you bring up a good point then, as far as the diverse backgrounds and the diverse businesses that people have. Has that been kind of the biggest surprise? I know you guys also mentioned some international inquiries, which that's probably a bit of a surprise, but what has been kind of the biggest shock or surprise, since you guys have started this passion project?
Yeah, I would say that definitely is one piece of it, Danny. Just to hear, to learn where all of the submissions are coming from. We are so surprised and we're so humbled to learn that our story is kind of spreading. The ukulele stand, that business is called K Stand, the one that Laura just mentioned. They're actually from Los Angeles. So now we're talking about coast to coast collaboration. And it's not like through our networks we knew anybody or a lot of people out in California.
Right.
It's just heard our story and reached out to us through the submission, and it's so humbling to know and to learn that people are embracing that mission that we're on and reaching out to us. But yeah, I think that's got to be one of the most surprising things is we have a little heat map on our website that shows us where people are who are looking. And it's so awesome to see we have people in Latin America that are looking at it, and in Europe that are looking at it. We actually kind of little heat map over in Australia. Now, Grant and that lives over there, but
yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
A couple of dots over there that showed us, okay, you've got some interaction. So it's very humbling to know that at least our story is getting out there, and not just our story, the story of all of these people that we're trying to share, the furloughed community, the laid off community, and quite frankly, anybody who's faced professional hardship. And that's kind of how we're phrasing it. Because eventually, one day, hopefully, furlough's going to end, right?
Right.
But there will always be that face professional hardship.
Right.
And so that's going to be those that we focus on. Okay, well, this happened to you unexpectedly. How did you bounce back? And those are going to be the people that we always want to cover. And I do want to mention, it also helps us that we have a diverse group of people that are submitting. It's not just in the hospitality industry, and even though Laura and I are well connected in the hospitality business, we welcome all industries. It doesn't matter what you did before.
Right. If
you were let go or furloughed from your job, whatever it is that you do, we want to hear your story.
Yeah, and that actually kind of brings me to a question, and I also I'm holding the optimism that, the economy will turn around. I know you guys happen to live in Florida, which, relatively speaking to a lot of other states, is a lot more open. And so you guys have had a little bit more ability to be able to kind of return a little bit to the workplace. I know you mentioned as far as hardships and goes, and people that have suffered those to be able to kind of join on and be a part of the community and the brand. Is that where you guys kind of see a lot of your future growth? Is kind of working towards those, or do you eventually plan to broaden out to people who have maybe had a small business for maybe a longer period of time and didn't necessarily experience that kind of hardship, but they want to be a part of the community and be a part of the brand supporting brand mindset?
Well, I think there's definitely opportunity to partner with small businesses like that as well, as long as there is that clear defined story to tell.
Gotcha.
And, we had a great example, and we haven't necessarily approached them to be featured quite yet, but it's on our list. A great example is Be Well TV, which they were a local production company that is run by a CNP and her husband. And they were, a big production company, and all of a sudden, March hit, pandemic hit, and they realized, okay, we have an entire production studio.
Right.
We have all of this equipment. We have all of this talent. What are we going to do with that talent? What are we going to do with this equipment? So they started their own YouTube channel, Be Well TV, and now they are using all of that equipment, using all of their studio space to allow other people to book studio space, to book their shows. They have a really cool warehouse in the back where they're actually using that to now be a venue for virtual conferences. They have like a full general session stage set in their warehouse now, where if you're a local company and you want to cut down and you maybe have a panel, or you can actually use their studio space as your headquarters for your virtual conference.
That's awesome.
So they are a great example of how they took an existing business and have now retooled it.
Sure.
So those are kind of, as we grow, finding more stories like that. And,
sure.
How are you rebranding yourselves because you've now had to?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's super cool. And that's a great example, because that's kind of where I was thinking people that have, online businesses that they have created, not necessarily out of necessity, but because they want to diversify their income or whatever the situation might raise. So it's great that you guys already have some examples of people that are like that. And because you guys also started in this situation where you guys were both furloughed or laid off from your positions, what has been the biggest challenge? I'm sure there was probably some frustrations as far as the economic circumstances and kinds of things, but then you get this passion project that you're able to build. What has been some of the biggest frustrations and challenges that you've had to deal with?
Laura, do you want to go first?
Oh, you guys both have an answer for this one, huh?
I think we both, well, I think the key there is we both have very different personal lifestyles, and then obviously she's back to work. So we both have really different dynamics. I would say a mutual frustration, or not even frustration, but mutual challenge for us has been, how do we even do this? How do we make a website? How do we
Sure.
make content? How do we do so? I mean, we were not huge social media people because number one, we work so much, but
Right.
we're actually we've always both been a bit more private with our personal lives. I'd say, I'm a little more out there than Gladi is, or more of a sharer than she is, but, I wasn't super active on caring about putting my life on social media.
Sure.
So wasn't ever very focused on having a following, or never, I can't even tell you what my followers were before I even started this, because I didn't care.
Right. Yeah. I hear you.
But, suddenly now realizing, I have to care now.
Mm-hmm.
And going back into that mindset of remembering being in college and realizing, I have to network. I have to not be shy and awkward and my introverted self. I have to go walk into that cocktail party, pretend like I'm not that way.
Right.
And meet a bunch of people. I have to put it on.
Fake it till you make it.
Put it on. Fake it till you make it, and walk out and be like, okay. Because I'm not naturally a social butterfly. And so it's kind of going back to those roots of, okay, same thing, but on a social media platform, and understanding how LinkedIn is different than Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Sure.
And we're on Pinterest. And every single time you produce content, you have to tweak it and retool it.
Right.
Figuring out how to make reels on Instagram. That was a huge exciting thing that I figured out,
I still haven't figured out Instagram. If people follow me on Instagram, I'm sorry, there's nothing there. I'm not good at it.
But that's kind of one of those things that every time we do our Zoom calls with the innovators, we all laugh about it, and we're all like, oh my God, are you using Canva? Are you using this? Or how did you do that one video?
Yeah.
And we're all collaborating about I remember one day, Orange and Field, one of our innovators, they posted in our Facebook group, hey guys, I just found out that you can do guides now on Instagram. It's really cool. Go here. And I didn't even know that. So
Sure.
all of a sudden now we have guides, and it's just teaching one another.
Yeah.
That has been kind of just a huge learning curve of that.
Right.
Figuring out how to write a blog.
Right.
And that entire dynamic has been just, huge learning for both of us.
Sure. But then having that energy there, though, that energy sounds like that's a great motivator, right? Where even though you might be uncomfortable or you're not sure about it, you have a lot of people there that are helping to drive you and push you forward, that says, you know what, I might not know anything about these guys on Instagram, but these guys are passionate about it. They're excited about it. This is something obviously worth learning about.
Right. And, we have certain innovators that are more successful on different platforms. So we can kind of all say, hey, what are you doing? What
Sure.
are you doing that's helping? Or we can kind of analyze each other's feeds or profiles, and
Right.
everyone's very receptive to sharing their tips and tricks
Sure.
in that, which is really helpful.
That's awesome.
And just for me on a personal level, I'm a mom. I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old little boy. And because of my paycheck going away when I was laid off, my boys are now in school only 3 days a week for full time. And so there's that Tuesdays and Thursdays that they're home with me, and I'm trying to juggle being a mom, giving them attention. H&F is still rolling. Trying to do it all is very hard. Yeah. And in a sense, it was almost easier when I was working.
Right. And you just drop them off and you pick them up 8 hours later.
Exactly. I had my full focus on my job. I had that time to step away. I could close the office door when I needed.
Right.
I don't have that right now, so that's been a huge learning curve for me as a mom, and also my own personal development. So I tend to play into that with a lot of my blogging and stories, because it's a great way for me to kind of have the therapy, write about it, have fun with it, be humorous with it.
Which they're great too, by the way. You're a solid writer, and people can really picture the layout that you're really putting into words. It's really nice to see and nice to read. So it's very enjoyable. Like I said, I could send one over to my wife and she'll nod along the whole time reading it because she can relate 100%. So you do a great job doing those.
I appreciate that.
I think that's the key, is just trying to be relatable, right? And not forgetting where we came from, not forgetting our roots. And Laura, you finished with talking about your family and trying to navigate those waters, because it's really hard, Danny. I don't know, a lot of people know this. It's very hard to go from working full time and then being a stay-at-home mom overnight.
Sure.
And that's what happens. I have no doubt in my mind, being a working mom and being a stay-at-home mom is two very difficult jobs.
Right.
When you're forced to do one or the other overnight, let's say go back to work and stay home, it's very difficult. Laura, she's got 2 little ones at home. My stepson, he's a teenager. He was at home. We were kind of forced to learn how to cohabitate on a 24-hour basis.
Right.
During quarantine, but pretty much my entire furlough. And we started a lot about each other, and we're buddies. We've always been friends, but I think now we're like pals and buddies.
Right.
Trying to figure out that my new lifestyle at being a stay-at-home mom for my stepson, and then also launching this passion project with Laura, there can definitely be some frustrating moments in that. But Laura and I, it works because we can help each other out. When a story needs to get out, but the kids need her attention, I'm like, I got you.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Absolutely.
Cook dinner. Laura's there on the other side. She's like, you know what? I'll post tonight. I got you. And so I out those potential frustrating moments.
Sure. No, I hear you. And knowing you guys like I do, knowing Gladi a little bit better, but knowing Laura that you're very similar, probably 2 of the more driven people that anybody would come across. So I wouldn't even necessarily look at those as something other than just a challenge, right? You guys would look at that and you would go, all right, we're going from full-time mom to stay-at-home mom overnight. I got this. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to be the best stay-at-home mom that I can, because that's the type of personality that I have.
Yeah, 100%. We are self-starters. We've got so much drive. We're we say it on our homepage, we're 2 stubborn career gals.
Sure.
And you're not going to bench us.
Right.
You might think you are, but we're going to rise above. And I think we just don't have that mentality that nobody is going to determine our future for us.
Yeah.
Because it's always within us.
Yep.
And you might change the variables for us, but okay, we'll roll with it, and we're just going to keep charging ahead. And it was just meant to be that it was time for our chapters to take a new turn.
Sure.
And that's just how we look at it. And I think that is a common denominator between all of our innovators. And that's what we think is so special about each and every one of them is if you really dive into their story, they are all those same kind of self-starter personalities that they're like, you know what, I'm not going to just wait for the recall phone call.
Sure.
I'm not going to, just wait for, I'm not going to wait for anything. I'm going to take charge of my own life. I've got the reins, and I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that kind of sets, it's kind of like a defining line between, the top performers and, the leaders and the followers almost. It's a really interesting, social experiment, to be honest. And that's how I kind of like to look at it as, who actually are these people? And if you really go back and, all right, so Mimi Carter, she's our interior design gal that we featured last week. Again, top performer, very seasoned sales professional. These are kind of those same stories that we're finding are the people that are having the gumption to just pull the trigger and do it.
Right.
And I hope that they can inspire others that are maybe not as seasoned or not as experienced or, that, they can do it.
Sure. No, that's great. And with the last couple of minutes left, I know earlier you guys had mentioned as far as because you guys are getting so many responses and the showcase, is being relatively limited, and then you guys getting inquiries from all over the world. What's next for you guys? How do you guys see the passion project kind of evolving from where it is now and what those next steps look like?
Go ahead, Laura.
So, it's brick by brick. So we're being very strategic. So right now we've got that foundation built. We feel really comfortable about that. You might notice that our categories, our blog categories, continue to grow. So now we have our innovators. We layered in the light bulb moment category. We have our lifestyle category.
Yep. And
next week, we're going to be launching our industry category, which will be all very, very professional content, very LinkedIn friendly, much more resource oriented.
Sure.
Very, very focused on professional content, whether it's us writing our professional insights about hospitality, event management, a little bit more newsworthy, or we're going to be accepting contributors. Maybe it's local experts, or I don't want to give away all of our yet, but,
no, that's okay. I appreciate it. Yeah, giving me a little bit of inside information here.
Partners that might be able to provide a resource to furloughed or laid off professional, or maybe somebody like yourself, a financial planner that maybe has insight that can offer as a resource to our audience.
Sure.
So really kind of gearing that as more of an educational industry component. And then I have recently started my own column with City Lifestyle magazine. So that allows us to have an extension of the lifestyle blog into an elevated platform. There's a lot of attention, a lot of exposure there. So that's kind of a fun, exciting thing for us as a brand. And then also within the next couple of weeks, we'll be announcing my own blog column with corporate event news. So that'll be a once a month blog that I am going to be writing for them. So that will now kind of round out having that elevated exposure for our industry category.
That's great.
So once we kind of get all that up and running, then the hope is we can really start to layer in some true industry partnerships, sponsorships, advertisement opportunities in various areas of the website, as well as be able to offer our innovators some brand ambassador options, whether it's in kind or more of a typical marketing, promotional fee, but begin to really offer ourselves as a business or as a platform for industry partners.
Absolutely.
Whatever. You know what I mean? So slowly but surely, kind of building that platform so that we've got exposure that is valuable in a few different ways.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and it's nice too that you kind of already have the forecast, right, of how you guys are looking at it in terms of the near and the medium and the distant future, which is awesome. A lot of people don't have that kind of vision.
Well, in order to grow a small business, you always have to be looking into the future, right? And that's why that we ask our innovators when they write us is what's next.
Yep.
Okay, so you have this patent on the world's only ukulele stand, but what's next? Oh, yeah, we're thinking guitar stands, we're thinking iPhone stands.
Sure.
Sky's the limit. And that way, anybody who reads our stories, now they have, hopefully, the hope that they have that mentality that, oh, yeah, I need to start thinking about what's next.
Right.
I start to support. Because that's what young small business owners or entrepreneurs have to always think about is what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you guys have some social media then that you guys would like to plug here to wrap it up?
Yes. So our website is hfredefined.com, and that is where you can find all of the links to all of our social media. On LinkedIn, we are H&F Redefined. On Instagram, HF Redefined. Basically, all the platforms you can find us with our...
Perfect. And I'll include those two in the show notes, so that way if people are looking at it, it's easy just to click over and go directly there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Well, I will say I'm super excited. I think you guys have an awesome business. The work that you guys have done is just really, really awesome. And giving the people, your innovators, a platform that they can really kind of start on and launch and be able to collaborate with other people that are in a similar situation is super great. And it's awesome to really be able to support the community like that. So I really appreciate you guys coming on. Again, it was super awesome just to see how you guys have come in a short period of time. And I'm really excited to see what comes in the future.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right.
And I just want to add, please subscribe to the blog.
Done. I will do it as soon as we get done.
The second we publish a story, our blog subscribers get an email right away. So they automatically know, oh, there's a new story.
Awesome. Yep. I'll go ahead and do it right away, and I'll encourage other people to follow the blog too. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Well, I really appreciate it again, and best of luck, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Bye.